faster than a speeding bullet, more powerful than a locomotive, able to leap tall buildings at a single bound, this amazing stranger from the planet Krypton, the Man of Steel, Superman. Possessing remarkable physical strength, Superman fights a never-ending battle for truth and justice, disguised as a mild-mannered newspaper reporter, Clark Kent.
1980, the turn of the decade. The 1980s, pronounced 1980s, shortened to the 80s, was a decade of the Georgian calendar that began... Wait, this is the Wikipedia entry. Give me a moment. Anyway, the decade saw major socioeconomic change due to advances in technology and a worldwide move away from planned economics. Laissez-faire cap... This is still Wikipedia. Oh, okay. Sorry. Here we go. Superman 2! Also released in the 80s. I'm assuming people liked it, as it has a positive Rotten Tomatoes score, which we all know is the most credible source on the internet. And I have to believe it because, well, look at me. I'm a baby compared to people born in the 80s, so I wasn't there to see if people liked it or not. But overall, I have to agree with Mr. Tomatoes' consensus, as I actually liked this movie pretty good. It's a pretty darn good sequel. So let's actually get into this. Superman 2 starts with some Kryptonians that got thrown into space again. Oh no, not again. This is just the beginning of the first movie, minus Marlon Brando because he sucked during production. But these guys definitely won't come back, except they do and are the main villains of this movie. Which I always thought was pretty funny, because if the first movie didn't do well, these guys would just be floating off in space forever, never to be seen again. Nevertheless, these bad guys land on the moon and murder some astronauts because I guess they can. And I think we just have to look at these bad guys as big babies, because all they really do is gawk at the wonders of this new world. Each of these babies has their own gimmick, starting with Zod, the boss baby. His special gimmick is that he doesn't care for anything except power and wants to become the ruler of the world, or I guess just the US, because that's all he tries to take over. It's a little boring, but I don't know, typical evil villain plot. However, the two other babies are kind of fun. This big guy doesn't really know how to talk, and he's just a hulking monstrosity, so we'll call him Big Baby. He also really wants to be cool, like everyone else around him. He is just big and dumb, and I can't help but awe at him. Go like, aw, he's so cute. Things like that, because he just wants to be a cool guy like his friends. Don't worry, he's very cool. Finally, we have the woman, who looks suspiciously like Winona Ryder. Her gimmick is that she likes to collect badges, like a sheriff's badge and the NASA badge off the astronaut that she murdered. She's also pretty cool, so pretty much our main villains are Boss Baby, Big Dumb Baby, and Collector Baby. Now that the villains are out of the way, we have to meet back with our Holy Trinity from the first movie: Lois Lane, Clark Kent, and Jimmy Olsen. I won't go into too much detail, but suffice to say, they're still all great, if not better than their first movie counterparts. Unfortunately, Jimmy Olsen is a very small role, but it's Jimmy Olsen, so you know what that means. Another segment of Jimmy Olsen Minute. Alright, welcome back to the Hall of Mirrors, as I'm going to talk about Jimmy Olsen again. In this episode of the Jimmy Olsen Minute, I'm talking about Jimmy Olsen number 152. In this one, here we go, I'll show you the cover. Jimmy exclaims, "Stay away, Superman. She gave it all to me, and it's all my money." And Superman, trying to save Jimmy Olsen from fishing up money from the ocean, he says, "No, it's not, and I've got to take it away from you. The girl who's made of money." Alright, Jimmy Olsen Minute in 3, 2, 1. Alright, so in this one, Jimmy Olsen crashes a car, and the girl who crashed their car into his says, "I'll pay you money to not get angry at me and sue me." And Jimmy Olsen said, nah, and left. And she then realized, oh, Jimmy Olsen will never get paid off, so I must prove that wrong and make him take my bribe. So she starts buying Jimmy ridiculous amounts of things, getting him accustomed to the luxury lifestyle, and then tricking him into wanting to marry her, because then if Jimmy Olsen marries her, then she would finally prove that Jimmy Olsen can be bought, even though it's kind of a stupid plot. So Jimmy Olsen's going through with all of this, and then her husband's like, if Jimmy Olsen doesn't marry you, you'll marry me, right? And she's like, yep. So Jimmy Olsen is about to buy a yacht. So she goes up and says, Jimmy, are you gonna marry me? And Jimmy's like, yeah, sure. And then she's like, aha, I caught you. And then she's like, no, I caught you. I've not been spending your money. Here is your husband or fiance running off. And dang it. Oh well, I'll finish it. The husband is running off with the money, and she's like, that's mean. And then they stop him, and then she's like, but you're still bad, and you still took my bribe. And he's like, nope. And then Superman helped fish the money out of the water, and they saved the day. I was not able to successfully complete the Jimmy Olsen minute. Dang it. Oh well, on with the video. Now, Lois and Clark are in Paris because Vernon Dursley was a terrorist. It's funny to say out loud, but the terrorist is played by the actor for Vernon Dursley. It's not a huge deal. Vernon Dursley is dealt with pretty easily, but it starts off our first side plot of this movie. Lois Lane discovers Superman's identity. She starts figuring it out around Niagara Falls, and to prove it, decides to throw herself off a cliff so Superman would save her, and therefore proving that Clark Kent is Superman. It doesn't work, as Clark is able to save her still in Clark form, but trips on a rug and throws his hand in the fire when they're back at their cabin, showing off that he actually is Superman. But this is horrible. This is an absolute travesty. We all know when you figure out someone's secret identity, everything goes wrong. Oh, nothing bad happens. It's almost like secret identities are just kind of boring, and everything works out fine most of the time when you show your secret identity to someone you love. But when Superman is now showing Lois Lane all his cool Superman tricks, we cut back to the babies who want to take over the world. Now, here comes my problems with this movie. First, the Zod babies have a cool scene in a small town. This is where the first problem of this movie arises. The Zod babies have a good time destroying a town, and it's all cool, but then Superman just has to commit the most heinous act in a superhero movie. Giving up his powers. I hate it. Luckily enough, it doesn't last long, but these 10 minutes are excruciating. Easily one of the top 3 worst things in this movie, and we will get to the rest. Don't worry. Personally, I just hate power-losing plots, and especially when it doesn't really go anywhere. Luckily, this kind of foreshadows something. So, anyway, Superman is beat up, and he's fed up with being powerless. So, he goes back to the Fortress of Solitude to ask his mommy pretty please for his powers back because he regrets it. In the meantime, Lex Luthor has escaped prison with one of his 2 stooges, although Miss Tessmacher is pretty much gone for the whole movie anyway, so it's pretty much just one stooge. Luthor drops his old toys and grabs some new fancy toys, which just so happens to be the Super Zod babies. Pretty much, he just says, I know where Superman is, and they go along with him. And he actually doesn't know where Superman is, so he brings them to Lois Lane, because Lois Lane knows where Superman is, and the Super Babies are okay with this. So, the Super Babies want to take over the world, and Lex Luthor agrees once they take over the world, he gets control of Australia, which is a little random, but I don't know, he wanted to blow up the West Coast in the last one, so. Well, with that boring synopsis out of the way, Superman shows up with all his powers back and initiates the scene that people either love or hate, or love to hate. This battle between Superman and the Super Babies plays out like a typical superhero fight. It's not as extravagant as like Man of Steel or something, but for the time it's actually pretty good. There's a truck that has some sort of sponsorship on it, I don't really remember what it is, but it's there and it tears away like butter. It's really satisfying to watch and is a pretty good effect. There's also this overly extended fan scene that is the reason most people hate this, as it's exclusively played for laughs, as one of the Super Babies uses super breath to blow everything away, and there's like a solid 10 minutes of just people rolling down the street pretty much because the wind's too strong. And I personally kind of love it because I think it's hilarious. And there's a roller skate guy. This movie is not trying to be very serious, unlike the first one. It's still trying to be a little more goofy, which is why I forgive this, but not flying around the world really fast. I can see how it could be really annoying, and a lot of people do dislike this scene, but that's not all to dislike, because the ending of this movie is a doozy. The ending isn't great. The ending of this movie takes place after the big fan fight, because Superman brings the babies to the Fortress of Solitude and is forced to become mortal again so then they can actually kill him. The entire time I was pretty much just yelling at the screen that Kryptonite already exists, so Lex Luthor, who wants to betray the super babies and Superman and just get the whole world, could be using that the entire time, except having to go along with this just overall pretty dumb fight. But anyway, nitpicks aside, Superman is forced into the same chamber that depowered him before and is depowered again. But secretly, Superman is able to pull an Uno reverse card and reverse engineer the machine to make sure that everywhere else is the depowering zone except the zone I guess he's in, which is cool. I think it's kind of it's not, I don't love it. It doesn't feel like it adds anything. It's not foreshadowed or anything. I don't know. I don't like what Superman does here, but at least it ends in a light note because the super babies, now powerless, experience their new powerlessness in a different way, including Zod, who looks like he's about to cry for his mommy when Superman squeezes his hand and then is thrown off into the distance. You have Big Guy, who I don't remember which one's which. One of them just falls off, literally just trips off the edge. I think it is Big Guy. Big Guy trips off the edge and falls to his death, and Collector Lady is punched by Lois Lane, knocking her off the edge. They just all fall into a pit in the Fortress of Solitude, never to be seen again. I don't know where it goes, but I guess they're dead, because they are mortal now. But now, the villains are defeated, and everything is back to normal. Everything is good. Except it isn't, because Lois Lane is depressed, because now that she knows Superman's secret identity, she can't live with herself or something. So, to deal with this, Superman knows exactly what to do. All you need to do is get Lois Lane to kiss you, because as we all know, he has a famous Superman power that allows him to wipe minds with a kiss. Something that is widely known to everyone, and is not something they made up just so they could end this movie back at the status quo and not do anything important. I hate it. I already talked about how secret identities are dumb, but this is the straw that breaks the camel's back. This movie could be this movie could be better than the first one, but anytime it reaches past the first one, it just chops its own arm off. Ah! Yeah. This movie's also a B tier. I really, really, really like sections of it, but it's just at the same level as the first one. It's fine. Just get on with the ending gag or something. Alright, so Superman 2. It's all done and good with. So, these movies have all been relatively good. I've had my problems with all of them, but they've been A and B tier, which is very cool. So, what's our next one? And it has to continue this good streak. Uh-oh.